Are you out recording? Are you starting or am I starting?
You start.
Right, thank you for checking out another podcast. I don't know what episode this is. I want to say 31.
Yeah.
Episode 31, and we are talking to Alex Heron. She's awesome. We've supported her for a long time. We've been following her work since we started Front, to be fair, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, she started posting her stuff about her project around the same time that we started Front, and we shared, I think the first post that she did about it. And we've kind of been aware of what she's doing since she started it.
Yeah. And over time, we've kind of spoke to her, reached out to her, and she spoke to us. And we asked her to come join us on the podcast.
She's got an ongoing, long-term, probably going to be ongoing for years to come, project called Breadth, where it's about essentially taking photos of people on the autistic spectrum. But she gets to know people, and as she explains in the episode, the actual photos are almost like the least important part of the whole process. It's more about getting to know these people and learning more about their lives and revealing things about herself to them, and making connections along the way.
And also how she actually goes around doing the photos themselves, because working with the people that she's working with, they're not always in the most comfortable situation to do so. It's very out of the norm to have a photo taken. So it's really, really powerful how she kind of works with that, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it takes a special kind of person who's able to do that, who's able to kind of put themselves out there and make other people feel at ease whilst being perhaps not in the most comfortable position herself. So she's growing and learning more about herself and more about autism at the same time as meeting all these other people. But it's amazing project in itself. The fact that she's a fucking awesome photographer just adds to that. If photos were shit, then you'd be like, well, it almost doesn't matter. But they're quite clearly not. So
no, they're very, very good, and it's always great to see her work, especially how she kind of posts it as well, seeing her kind of process around taking the photos and not just showing the best photo or the best photos that she's taken. So it's really good.
I think it's brilliant as well that obviously what she says about the photo being the least important thing, but looking at it from just a purely photographic point of view, if you didn't know anything about the project or her or the people that she's shooting and you just saw the photos, they stand up without you knowing any of the background. So that's it is important and it isn't important. It's not as important to her in terms of the process that she goes through, but to everyone else and to people new to her and what she's doing, then obviously the fact that
a photographer could look at her photos and just appreciate that they're good photos, but then when you deep dive into them and find out a little bit why she's taken them or who they are in that photo, you're only drawn in even more and you appreciate them even more. But that's not all. We've also asked her a very important question, which she's very kindly said yes to. She is the new Front ambassador. She'll be joining all the other awesome photographers that we've got on board under the Front family tree, should we say. I'm sure there'll be a link down below of all of them. That's awesome. She's going to be a Front ambassador. We really, really support what she does. And likewise, she's supporting what we're doing here. That's really, really, really good news.
Just had a nice time talking to her, didn't we? And we thought, fuck it, let's just...
Yeah, she's got the right attitude. She's got a really, really good attitude. And not only that, she's an amazing photographer as well. She will be on the Front website when we do launch. A little bit about that. The website is coming soon. We are currently working on the beta side of things from mine and Luke's side. So we are testing the website, making sure it works. News on that to come very soon.
It will be here. We are testing it, and it does work, and there's bits of it that don't do what we want them to do yet, or look like we want them to do, or
stay tuned for that. Basically, stay tuned. We have got some news coming about that soon. But for now, enjoy the podcast episode where we talk to Alex. We talked to her about her very, very passionate project that she's got going on at the moment. If you don't know about it, then go check her out on Instagram.
listen to this where we explain.
Well, obviously listen to this. Make sure you follow her on Instagram to check out her kind of ongoing work.
My microphone didn't work when we were recording it, so I'm really quiet. But other than that, I don't say much,
So enjoy this episode. Drop a comment. Say congrats to Alex. Let her know your thoughts. And enjoy. Drum roll, please. I reckon you should cut. So, welcome to the podcast, Alex. Thank you for coming on and joining us. We appreciate having you.
Thanks. I always sound so awkward when I do the first bit. Sorry. Hi.
Not as awkward as us two, so you're fine. Don't worry. We'll start off like we always start off, and we will ask you a little bit about how you got into photography and what's inspired you, I guess.
Okay, cool. I actually don't really know. How do you know when you're a photographer? I always think that's so weird when people say oh, photographer Alex, and you're like, how do you know if you're a photographer or not? So
I would classify it as someone who takes photos outside of just going out with their friends and family.
Okay, cool. Well,
I don't know. How would you explain that?
I don't know. So that's why when I'm people how did you get into photography? I feel like I accidentally did, and then one day I was someone called me a photographer, and I was like, what the heck? Because I just don't get how you become a photographer. But anyway, so when I was I don't know, I was found emotion really difficult when I was younger. I still do. I can't stand it. It's so vile. But when I was at school, I guess the only time I could kind of understand what people were talking about, because I can feel things, but I don't necessarily know the name. Yeah. And when I was at school, I would kind of look at books, I guess, Rankin's books in particular, and I'd sort of look through them, and I'd look at the picture, and I'd be that's love, or that's happy, and I that picture to me would articulate the things I felt that I didn't have a name for. Okay. So I think visually that's when my initial interest in photography came, because then it kind of moved on to I'm really not good at expressing love at all, but that doesn't mean I don't feel it. So I take a lot of pictures of my family, because I'd kind of try and capture the things that make them them, the way certain people stand, and that's them even when you can't see their face, or you can see a silhouette of someone and who it is because of the way that they move. And I kind of tried to capture that, because to me that's love, because I don't know, it was the way that I was able to show that. So I kind of got into I did digital photography at GCSE, but I didn't really go to my lessons much. I used to run away from school. So the lessons I did go to, I kind of enjoyed. And then I did it at A-level again, but even worse. I would barricade myself in the toilets at school. But I actually did quite well in it, but I just didn't go to the lessons. And then I kind of went off and did philosophy degree, and had 3 years of existential dread. And then I did a visual communication masters, because I didn't know what to do with my life. And then I fell back into photography by accident when my granddad died, and he left me his cameras. But basically how I got into film photography was my granddad had always been a hobbyist photographer, and he got really bad Alzheimer's at the end of his life, and he'd forgotten how to use a digital camera. So when he was in his care home, we got out all of his film cameras, and obviously because in dementia you like retain your long-term memory, he was able to take pictures again, and he
That's
died.
amazing.
Yeah, and he left me his cameras, and I didn't want them to just be like an ornament, because that's what gave him love at the end of his life and happiness. So I took them to be, I went on a course near me, and then I went to take this film roll that we found inside, to get that developed. And it was just, this roll was just pictures that my granddad had taken of me and my sister in like the last 2 weeks of his life, of us like visiting him, and we didn't know. So he'd, going back to like what I was saying about feeling, to me that's love, like
Yeah, that's amazing.
from him. And that was like, he took those pictures because he loves us so much. And that's, then I was like, I feel like that's how I feel as well about photography. So then I wanted to like hold on to that, and then I kind of carried on, and it made sense for me. So yeah, I still use his cameras now.
That's amazing. That is without a doubt the best answer we've ever had to an opening question on the podcast.
It's a bit rambly, sorry about that.
No, that's really good. It's quite interesting. So just listening to what you said then, I mean, I want to ask you a couple of questions. One about your granddad, if you don't mind, as well, because that kind of resonates with me as well. But I remember you just said about looking at photos, and that was kind of like an expression of love or oneself, right? As cheesy as that sounds. So like, it's quite interesting because a lot of photographers get into photography because they see a camera, or they like the idea of being a photographer, right? Where for you, it was kind of a little bit the opposite, where you saw photos, had a connection with them, and then that made you pick up a camera and go on to, teach yourself, education, so on and so forth, which is really cool. Like, I didn't do that. I was like, I want to be a photographer because I like cameras. Do you know what I mean? Or something made me want to pick up that camera, but it wasn't necessarily seeing other people's work at that time or in that depth, which is really interesting.
Thanks. I mean, I feel like it was maybe for me, it wasn't really about being a photographer. I think it was about, when I was younger, especially at school, I was so weird. I used to wear like wooden clogs to school and stuff. It was so weird. And like, I had no idea what was going on at all. Like, people would talk about these feelings, and like, I'm better now, but like, it's not like I don't feel things. I feel things like really, really intensely, but I don't always know what that feeling is. I just know like my stomach hurts, and that apparently is like sad. And like, I know what it is more now, but it was very lonely, I guess, because I was feeling all these things and I didn't know what they were. And I think the only reason I got into photography was not really about cameras or even about photography. It was just that was what made sense to me. I could see it. I could see these pictures, and that was like a tangible thing that articulated the feeling inside me. So it wasn't actually about taking pictures. It was just that these pictures by these artists made the world make sense to me. And the world is really confusing. So if you can latch onto something that makes everything make sense, then I guess like that's quite therapeutic, and it like kind of raises you in a sense. Like, I grew up and it kind of was like, oh, that's what people are talking about. And then it gives you some kind of clarity. And then like, a camera is just, I guess, a tool to do that. Like, it's
it's a way to kind of express yourself, isn't it?
Is it kind of like you're almost slowing things down by taking a photo of, if you've got like a million things happening, or it feels like there's a million things happening, but you're capturing an image of that at 1/1000th of a second or something, a microsecond of something that you can then sit and look at, or almost like understand everything that happened in that one tiny second.
And I think in being autistic, everything is so intense all the time. So if you've got something that you can like, it's weird, because I don't know whether this is just an autistic thing, but all the other autistic people I know like experience this as well. Like, you notice the most tiniest details. And I think that's quite interesting, to be able to like, there's all this going on and it's like really overwhelming, and you're like so stressed and stuff, but then you like, even someone can like slightly tilt their head, or like the way that their like eyes like look slightly, and if you can get that, I don't know, I just feel like that's when you're hyper focusing, it kind of drowns everything else out, and you're kind of in your own world, and that world is like a lot more calm and and a lot less stressful.
You can kind of flip what could be a negative into a positive, because if you're hyper focusing, or sometimes you can admit that you might overthink something, like we all do, right? You might catch someone looking at you and you go, why are they looking at me like that? Really weird. When I looked that way, then I just saw my reflection as a little mirror on the table, which freaked me out. But if you look somewhere and you catch a glance of something happening, your mind naturally races, right? But you manage to kind of find a way where you're like, well, that's kind of what makes that scene so good. And then you've got the expression side going, well, I want to capture that to show that exact emotion. Do you know what I mean? Which is powerful. It's really powerful to come up, like, it doesn't make just a pretty photo, it adds a photo with depth and meaning, especially with portrait photography, right? Because a lot, you can take the best portraits in the world and I can look at them, or anyone can look at them and go, that's a really beautiful portrait. But when you know a little bit more about the person in it, I'd have that hanging on my wall without having ever met that person. Do you know what I mean? Which is powerful. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people who are just photographers in general can probably relate to that anyway. I know, like, especially when you're doing street photography, and if you're doing it on film, it really makes you stop and you kind of think, and all that kind of stuff that people say. But you do kind of, well, you said it the other day to me, Jamie, you like go into photo mode and all of a sudden
I so relate to that.
That's it. And like, I took a photo of somebody on a bus, and then I was expecting the bus to pull away and it didn't. And she looked directly at me, but I was like looking through the viewfinder of the camera, and I was like, it totally sucked me back into the real world. And I was like, oh God, I'm just staring at somebody. I've got this camera in the way, and I like moved it out my way. I was like, all right.
Oh God.
Bye. But I was trying to talk to Jamie about something whilst we were walking along. And
it's just to interrupt, sorry, Luke. It takes me and Luke about an hour to have a conversation. It should only take us 5 minutes, because we'll get distracted. We'll be in that photo mode, so we'll be looking around, then stopping, and then we'll forget what we're talking about. So me and Luke probably have about 10 conversations going on at any one time, and then they'll finish at random times. But I think that's the same with all photographers.
But I was getting frustrated with myself, because I was like, I've started this sentence like 5 or 6 times now. And Jamie was like, just stop for a second, you're in photo mode. And I was like, I am, that's it, that's exactly it. So I think, from what you were saying, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that general feeling anyway, especially when...
I definitely think that that's true, because I don't know about you, but I can go to events and be fine if I've got a camera in my hand. But if I didn't have my camera there, I would have had some kind of like aneurysm or something. Like, honestly, like there are
Is it like your shield? It's your shield.
Yeah, it's so weird. If I've got a camera and I'm taking pictures, I'm fine. Like, you could put me in the middle of the, like, I don't know, the most, I feel like a submarine would probably be the most stressful place for me. You could put me like in a submarine full of a crowded submarine, and I would be fine if I had my camera. But then if I didn't, I would, I don't know, because I have a phobia of the sea. Sorry, I'm...
Is that because it gives you like, if you were in a crowd and you had a camera, it's almost like you've got a purpose for...
and I feel like I just channel everything into that. Like, even when I'm feeling really stressed or like really anxious, I guess that like, I just kind of articulate that with like the pictures that I take. So I guess, and nobody talks to you if you've got a camera, which is good. Like,
or if they do, it's like an instant icebreaker, isn't it? Because they're going to talk to you about a camera,
especially like film. Like, that's honestly, that's one of the reasons I shoot film, and like it's medium format, especially with like the Mamiya. One of the main reasons is because, like, one, people always pretty much say yes to having their picture taken, and two, like, especially with the people I shoot are not models, and like most of them have never ever had their picture taken, like not even on an iPhone. It's actually a really good thing to be like, hey, look at this like cool camera, and like they can hold it, and like looking through the waist level thing. Like, I feel like that is definitely an icebreaker. It's like an instant thing. People are always interested in it.
What camera do you use then? Is it the RB
RZ. So I
The
did
RZ.
use a Pentax 6.7, but then
Yeah.
I switched to an RZ 6.7 because I think I'm like an influencer YouTuber. Like, so yeah.
I've got an AB B6.7, and yeah, I feel like that as well. I'm like, yeah, look at me and my camera. I mean, I
Yeah,
can't
so do
feel
I.
my arms because it's so heavy right now. But
It literally
yeah,
is, isn't it? It's so heavy. But yeah, I always feel like
that's
really
fine.
cool. And people want to like look at it because not many people have seen a medium format camera like that. So I think it's a really like good way of like relaxing people a bit and relaxing myself because I get so nervous on shoots.
So when it actually comes to your shoots then, and I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've seen Alex's work. She does a lot of
So
amazing
embarrassing.
portraits. But I want to know a little bit about your process of actually taking these photos, because I know you said you've taken, well, we've seen that you've taken a lot of photos of like friends and family. You've got projects going on, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But when it comes to talk like photographing, you know, like someone that you don't know or haven't known before shooting them,
Yeah.
is there a process for you to get to know them, or is it turn up on the day and start shooting?
So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm the least photographer ever. Like, I literally don't care about the photos. Like, it sounds weird, but so the people I shoot, like, because basically I only do my autism project. So like the people I shoot, most of them have never ever had their picture taken, and if they have, like, it's their mum's iPhone and that's it. And it's a really big thing to do this. So I generally speak to people for like a good few weeks before the shoots, and then on the shoot, like, I don't call it a shoot. I just like saying it, like hanging out and taking some pictures, because I think when you call it a shoot, like, it's makes
like
people,
unneeded pressure, isn't it?
yeah.
On the
So if you're just hanging out, and I guess with a shoot you kind of want people to do things, whereas with this you just want them to be yourself, and like the camera's there just to capture that.
It's not like you're taking a photograph of a model who wants to look a certain way. You're taking photos of someone, and you're trying to capture that person.
And the real like
in a few images,
essence of them, like what makes them them. And the only way that they can do that is to completely be themselves. And that's actually quite a big ask to do with someone that you don't know very well, and somebody that's shy, anxious anyway, and has had quite negative social experiences. So generally we just kind of like meet up, hang out a bit, talk about the camera. I always like get people to hold it and like look around, because that's really cool, and then talk about whatever they like, and I literally will just be chatting to them. We'll be walking around, and as they're talking, like, if you can get someone to talk about something that they really really love and are really passionate about, I just like get them to talk about it, and then just like quickly, like, they'll turn their head or their eyes will light up and you can just like quickly snap something. And I think that's like my like biggest advice would be, like, with portraits, if you can get someone on a topic that they're like so passionate about, I think that's really exciting.
Well, everyone opens up more when they want to, like, you know, when they are passionate about something, if they're talking about themselves, right? So to get someone to feel comfy enough to be able to open up without really knowing, I suppose that's the biggest challenge, isn't it? But if you're taking the time to do so, then that's why it clearly works.
Yeah, I think from experience with the projects, like, I found that you're kind of asking people to open up and like show them themselves like pretty raw to you. And I think as a photographer, you have to accept that you're holding quite a lot of power over that person, because you're in charge of how the world perceives them at really, especially with my project, at their most vulnerable. And I think the only way you can really like do that ethically and to do that properly is if you kind of level the playing field a bit. So I tend to like open up about my own hideous school experiences and sort of bear part of my own soul to them, and then they do that back. So it's quite an emotional thing, because we usually have like shared experiences, and I kind of make myself vulnerable as well. But then I've had to actually like limit the number of shoots I'm doing, because in doing that, like, I take on other people's like trauma, and then I'm like bearing my own, and it's like slicing open old wounds all the time. And it made me like a few months, probably like 6 months ago, like I was just lying in a dark room like all the time and couldn't even like leave the room. So not a dark room, but like a dark room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, so then I've like limited it to like maybe 2 maximum a week, because otherwise it just like makes me so mentally like unstable, like unhinged.
Yeah, I can imagine for anybody doing like 3, 4, 5 photo shoots a week just for any type, even if you know you were shooting more like it was a fashion campaign or anything like that, would be pretty exhausting, you know, emotionally and physically anyway. But if you're every time you're doing that, you're having to like reveal something
like reveal your deepest trauma. And
so
like
on one hand you're opening up every week, so there's kind of almost like no closure, not that there would be, but just, like you're being reminded of it, because that's part of like your job, to open up and connect with someone. And at the other hand, you're taking on their kind of story,
exactly,
which is an emotional hit to yourself as well, right?
And then you're like, just like, I don't know, it like did fill me with like severe like existential dread. And like I got like, I don't know, like this, like, do you know that Zoom, what Zoom is it, where they zoom in and like your head comes forward and then like the background zooms out? What's that shot called? Well, that's director. Do you know what I mean? There's like a director does
I'm thinking like Limitless now with Bradley
It feels
Cooper.
like that. It feels like that when they like zoom in on your face and the background zooms out.
I know what you mean. I don't know what it's called, but I know
that's
exactly
what it feels. That's literally what it felt like.
Do you feel like the people that you're taking photos of must get a lot out of it, I'd imagine? And do you feel like
a sense of achievement, I can imagine?
I mean, like, I feel like the pictures are like the least important part. And pretty much like all the people that I've shot with, like we meet up and like hang out, and if there's something that they're struggling with that like I can, like, I don't want to say I sound like I'm like some kind of messiah, but I'm literally not. But if they're like saying, oh, like I'm finding it hard to like go out, or I've got this, like I'll try and hang out with them and like help them in that. And in other ways they've like helped me so much, because I've learned so much about myself and like got really good friends from this. So like I was in Birmingham the other week with my friend Alex Manners, who I recently shot, and then Eve, who I recently shot. I'm going to go see her in London in January. So like I do like hang out with them and like have this like amazing circle of like cool people that are from this. Like the photos are just like, I guess, like a part of it, but it's like the least important part.
It's like a nice house thing afterwards or whatever. But I was going to say, do you feel like it's changed you from when you start doing it to now?
Like so much. I'm a lot more confident, and I feel like, I don't know, like maybe I understand the world a bit more. I understand myself a bit more. I mean, I think I still like have this like raging inferiority complex. I need to work on that, but like
I suppose with yourself as well, like I can have a bad day, right? And sometimes I can have a really bad day. Some days I can have a good day and I can have a really good day. But when you have a bad day, it's a really bad day. But the sense of achievement to get past that and move on from it and then go out the next day or whenever it might be, that's a sense of achievement in itself. And if you're helping someone else do that as well, that's a huge sense of achievement. They're going to feel better. You're going to feel better for that. I think it's very positive what you're doing.
I mean, I do feel like I've like achieved. I mean, I got a message the other day from someone that was like, I've like always struggled all the way through my life and not kind of known why. And through like your project and seeing the stuff you've shared, like I mentioned it to my therapist and like was tested and like I'm autistic, and like they never knew. So like, and that it's like given them so much clarity and like their family clarity and stuff. So I get like, I've had quite a few messages like that. So I feel like that's like, you can't really ask for more.
That's got to be the pinnacle. That's got to be, you know, like that's up there with helping.
But
it's really amazing. So they've seen your work and saw something of themselves in
and I think because people like see autism and they're like, mainly like, if you've not, I don't know, I guess lots of people experience of it is like, you know, like Rain Man, like Sheldon and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily like think the autism is actually like comes in so many I don't know, there's no one way of being autistic.
Yeah.
So to actually see people that are like not characters, that are like actual people that are like living and thriving like these amazing lives, and actually seeing yourself in it, and then maybe that provides you with some clarity, that's like the best thing. Even if you're not autistic, to just actually see that, oh, actually there's so many people that are autistic and it doesn't actually mean like anything pretty much.
Yeah.
It also means you're also going to be true to yourself kind of like 100% of the time, right? So like, you know, me and Luke might be, well, probably more me. Luke's pretty chill, but I'm like, hi guys, welcome to Front. Come check out our new video. But really, this is me. This is me having a chat. Do you know what I mean? You have to feel like you put that, but with yourself, I feel like you're always yourself, and the people.
To my own detriment sometimes. Like I say things and think like, oh God, like I mean, part of the reason I started the project because I was like applying for jobs, and when I was diagnosed, the doctors and stuff were like, do not go through this diagnosis. Like if you do this, this is like going to end your career. Like you will never get a career. Like you will never work. Everyone will think that you're completely incapable. Like you'll never do anything. And I was like, so I kept it as a secret. Yeah, like I literally kept it as a secret. And through the whole of school kept it a secret. Like uni I did until like I accidentally told someone, and then like everyone found out. And I actually thought when everyone found out, I was like, that's it. Like I need to like depol my name, like move.
This is the end.
This is the end. Like this is like, oh my God. Actually, people were just like, anyway, so what are you doing? Like people didn't care.
Does it change who you are to the day before?
I don't know.
No,
like
just now. I
think because they maybe knew me before.
Change your mindset, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then so they didn't care. So I was like, that was my first experience of like, I was like, oh, okay, so maybe it's actually not that bad. But then when I was applying to jobs, like it was so embarrassing, you know, like because I'd have these interviews and I'd try and be like what I thought people were meant to be in like interviews, and it's just so embarrassing. Like I can't, I never got the job because it was just terrible. And then I was just like, oh God, I'm just going to tell everyone because I just can't be bothered with this anymore. Like if someone doesn't want to employ me or give me a chance because they see that I'm autistic, then like they're like, that's loser behavior. So
that's really
it's like just so embarrassingly losery lame. So don't want to work for people that are lame anyway.
No, exactly. But
so
you know, you should only ever be yourself. Do you know what I mean? And if people don't like that, then don't worry about them.
Yeah, I sometimes do say things that are like potentially like terrible, not good. Like I reveal things about myself, and my mum's like, oh my God, what the hell? Like if anyone else said that, they would be like, I'd be like, I don't know, it's not good. I need to be careful sometimes.
I was going to ask you for examples then, but you probably don't want to repeat it. So
I
don't know. Like I don't know. I like just if people ask me things, I just tell them the truth. Like sometimes it's not good because I'm learning now as I get older that when people ask you things, they don't always want to know the truth. And that's something I'm learning, which I didn't know really before. And I still have to think like, and I'll usually like people I'm really close friends with, I'll say to them, are you asking me that because you want the truth, or do you want me to like comfort you? Because if like someone's saying, does this make me look fat? This is an example, right? If someone says, does this make me look fat? If it does, I would have said yes. And it's not good. So like I now will say like, but then it's kind of doesn't really count, because then if I say to my friend, like, do you want the truth or do you want like, what, do you want comfort? They're like, so I look fat then.
yeah.
Not always the best person for reassurance.
Yeah.
I try. I'll say like, you look 48% fat. So like I'll give them like an exact thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's a good way of like, if people are moaning about something or like just telling you about a hard day they've had, it's like maybe not ask the direct question, but I saw somebody saying this the other day, that ask them, or maybe in your head ask, do you want comfort or do you want advice?
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
so true.
It's like whether or not you can judge that. And for most people, when they're asked, they want to hear just a positive, you know, you're all right, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Or have you kind of go, oh, it sounds really shit, yeah, and like just wallow in it with them for a minute. I guess
like I tend to people. Do you know, this is a bad thing as well about me. I always find out people's secrets because I don't say anything. So like, if we're in like a group, I'm always silently watching.
Yeah.
So people reveal things and they forget I'm there, but I'm going to take
You're
it to the
storing
grave.
it away in here.
It's taking to the grave, but I do think like people, I'm not really very shockable because most things I will have like either done or done like a worse thing. So like I guess if somebody tells you something, I guess with the project that's quite important, because if somebody's done something that's not particularly very good, I can guarantee I've done it, or like I've done something much worse.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right.
The people that have been part of the project so far, like how have you come, like obviously you said some of them were people that you knew already, but have you also just met other people through
So most
doing
of
the
them I didn't, like Matthew I knew, I was like really close friends with at uni, and then like maybe 2 others.
Which one's Matthew? Is he the one that wears the awesome shirt?
No, that's Alex Manners.
Alex.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Matthew is the one that's like, there's a picture of him like he's like in front of like 2 storage containers and he's like that. I really like that picture.
I know exactly.
Yeah. I was really good friends with him at uni, but I liked at the beginning I decided I wasn't ever going to approach anyone for the project. I would only let like people approach me, because I feel like I don't want to ever, coming out as autistic is still like quite a big deal, especially for people in like professional worlds. So I didn't want to like pressurize anybody into doing that. So I like will literally only shoot people that approach me, unless they're like Alex Manners. He's quite a well-known public figure anyway. He was like on I don't know if you watched the Undateables, he was on that. So like I kind of like knew him and approached him because he was like already like his whole career is about being autistic. So
yeah.
Like, that's cool.
What's his name? Chris Packham, who I didn't know he was autistic until there was a documentary made about him. I don't know, from a little
Autism and Me or whatever it was called.
Yeah, and that was really interesting to watch. But I'd like met him before as a child, like going to watch the Really Wild show. Yeah, and I think perhaps as a child you don't pick up on that, you know, something like that anyway.
That's why I get on with kids. Like I'll say, I'll be talking to someone and I'll be like, oh yeah, my friend, and they'll be like, who's your friend? And my friend's like that I'm talking about is like 6. And, and I think it sounds really weird. I'll be like, oh yeah, my friend Annabelle's like, and they'll be like, oh, who's Annabelle? And they'll be like, oh, this is, and it's like a 5-year-old. And but like I think it's because they just, first of all, they're like really direct, like me. So like,
I was gonna say,
that's fine. And also like I can just be like, can you stop talking about that? It's boring. And I'll be like, okay.
Which is exactly what they would say in a playground environment, right? So you've got that instant connection with them.
Yeah. And I like get on with kids really well. It's interesting what you actually said about Chris Packham, because he was like a big, I kind of like clinged on to him because I think he's like really cool. And I was actually chatting to him and he said to me, life gets so much easier after school because you can live life how you want. Okay. And that to me is like that articulates everything that changed in my life, because in school you have to be with the people that you hate every day, and so many just knobheads at school all the time, just loser horrible people. You're with teachers that are annoying, you're in an environment that's annoying, like those lights and the way that they like are just horrible. But when you leave school you can literally live your life however you want, and I think so many people go through that where they like thrive after school because of that.
I think we all pick up like phrases like that like kind of I don't know, hit us hard, do you know what I mean, or we resonate with. I remember like I could still say it now to this day. I'll say it often enough, and I remember hearing a phrase that was, the people who care don't matter and the people that matter don't care. So which kind of, it sounds backwards when you first hear it, but really it means the people that care about you don't matter, because they're always going to be there for you. Do you know what I mean? But the people that do care about what you're doing, or are always saying, oh, you should do this or you should do that, or don't do this, don't that, don't worry about them, get rid of them. Do you know what I mean? And I remember hearing that when I was, you know, like 15, 16 years. I think I actually heard it in like a skateboard video or something like that, and it hit me and I was like, it's true. Do you know what I mean? If someone is worrying about you too much, bad like your parents and family or something, but even so, if they're telling you not to do something, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got
fan behavior though. That's what I always think about people I went to school with. They're like going on and on about me all the time. And well, I think that they are. I think I'm more important in their head than I actually am. But but they're literally like, I see them comment things, and I literally just think that they're a fan. They hate to admit it, but they're a fan. They're always on my things. They're always talking about me. That's fan behavior. So
they might not be supporting you, but they are kind of helping you out.
So I feel like though I have this like thing. I think I'm the most important person in everybody's life that exists.
Like, everybody is the center of their own little world, I guess.
Yeah.
So like, but it's kind of natural. But
like someone will say one mean thing to me, like one slightly mean thing, and then I'll like be thinking that they're like in their lair at home, like with like pictures of me, like daggers and stuff. Like, I think I'm like their most arch nemesis. Like, I'm so important to them. Actually, I need to like calm down.
We got our first dislike on a video the other day.
Did we? Oh yeah, a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
I sent it to Jamie. I was like,
that's hateful.
We're gonna. How can we find out who is this person who is so against us? And I'm like, whenever people dislike a video, I do think, why? Like, unless it's
if someone disliked it and left a comment saying, "Hi guys, I don't like this video because your microphone's crap," and then we can reply and say, "We haven't even got a microphone, mate, so jog on." Do you know what I mean? But like, if they gave you feedback, you can work on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we welcome that. We're always telling people.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Like, feedback's important, right? In every stage of life, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But when someone just like straight up hates on it for no reason, you're just like, okay, well, fuck you very much.
Anyway, isn't it? The dislike button. It's not going to be a count anymore.
Because that stopped me making YouTube, you know, because I literally thought if someone gave me dislike, I would literally be in my room like thinking this, like, the world hates me. Everyone like I literally take things so like, I don't know, maybe it's because like I had a really bad school experience or whatever, but I always just like think, oh my god, everyone hates me, everyone's going to kill me.
Like, it needs to be monitored. Without getting too deep, it needs to be monitored, and getting rid of dislikes or anything negative is a good thing.
They're keeping the like button, and you can still dislike something, but it doesn't show up. It just kind of affects what your suggested videos or something like that. And I think that makes sense, because Instagram doesn't have a like and a like unlike, or whatever the opposite, a like and a hate button. It's
as like or nothing. Move along.
Can you imagine if Instagram had like a don't like button? That would be hideous. That would be like literally the most hideous thing I've ever heard of in my whole life. Yeah,
that would be absolutely bizarre. I mean, it's already full of it, kind of, anyway.
I think with the world that we live in, we're living in this digital age now, right? And it needs to be, and rightly so. It couldn't be monitored. It couldn't be monitored because people, every day is new in the world of kind of social media, right? There's new things coming out all the time, but now it's getting to a point where we know it's here to stay, so we need to make sure that we're policing it in the right way, but also keep the creativeness going with it, because you don't want people to stop doing. You don't want all these rules in place and stuff. There's just a mold. You just got to be sensible.
I've had to like filter mine, like on my Instagram. I filtered all my like DMs, because I used to get like really horrible DMs of people like all the time.
Wankers. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, and really rude ones, nasty men. So like I used to get like pictures and stuff. It's disgusting. Made me just vile.
Yeah. I cannot understand it must be awful. Like, my wife tells me, she's like, it is horrible being a woman online.
It literally is. It's like awful, especially in photography. It's like film photography, especially, is like there's so many men in film photography, and for some reason, like, some people take like just general politeness of like, hey, I like this picture, thank you, like that's nice of you to say, as like I'm betrothed to them. Right. Like they literally think that like that's like we're like
she fancies me.
Yeah. And then they'll just like the next day like send me this like the most revolting picture ever, and I'll be like, block, and then they make new accounts and I block. So I
was actually, so where I work in my day job, there's a girl that I work with, and she's on like dating apps and stuff. And she said she was like, oh my god, out of nowhere today, and I was like, oh, what's the matter? She's like, I just got a message from a guy who sent me a message, and it said words to this effect: hi, how are you? I know my photos don't give too much away about me, because they were all like photo, like there weren't clear photos of him, like blurred or
Immediately no.
yeah,
That would be a no
straight
from
away.
me.
But then the message
Straight
was
away.
like, yeah, sorry about the photos. You're going to sound weird, but the only reason I haven't got any good photos is because my wife might see my account. And I'm like, hang on, what? Like, what's going on here?
Isn't there a site? There's like a specific site people should like. Isn't that Ashley Madison site? It's
Yeah,
for
that
people
got
like that.
taken down.
It's crazy, isn't it?
But there's probably people out there who throw out that kind of message and enough, and eventually there's someone on the receiving end who's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm interested. I'm guessing, because why do it if it doesn't eventually work? But it's got to be.
It also seems like incredibly like dumb thing to do. Like,
yeah,
you're definitely gonna get caught. I don't know why you do that.
Yeah, it's
exactly. You're asking to get caught without a doubt, putting it out there publicly. Anyway, I wanted to ask you a little bit about cameras. So let's change the subject now.
That's quite a radical.
Quite a radical change from portrait photography to creepy men online. So yeah, let's talk about cameras. So you've already said you use the AZ6-7.
Yeah.
I know you shoot digital photography as well, but one of the questions we actually got on Instagram was,
oh my God, I'm so excited about this.
Oh, it's a good one. Have you ever thought about using large format photography?
Yes. So
is that in the pipeline? Or?
Yeah. If my, it's not that I've not thought about it, it's that I've never successfully achieved it. So like where I learned photography, it's a place called Hopewell Studios. And they've got like a big dark room, and like full disclosure, just gonna say I do a lot of their social media stuff. So I'm not getting paid for it. I just use their stuff in return for doing their social media. Anyway, Ed,
that's great, right?
Yeah, Ed, that's like the guy that owns it. He's like, because he's like someone that's like a really old school photographer, but like not into social media. That's how I did that. But he's got loads and loads of large format cameras, and he's so good at like large format portraiture. So I've been like trying to sort of learn that with him when I've got time, like because it takes quite a long time to do, and I need some time to like really practice. But I've just never like successfully done it. Like my focus is always slightly out, because you've got like a little like knob that you have to like go like that. And you're like underneath a thing, and it's like upside down, and the focus plane is like so different. It can be like slightly out. So when and now that it's another thing that had like stopped me from doing it is cost. But now the Analog Wonderland are sponsoring the project. And Paul is kind
Hi Paul, I know you're listening because you're awesome. Thank you.
Now that Analog Wonderland is sponsoring it, then that's like a thing that's like propelled me towards large format.
Not just Paul, everyone at Analog Wonderland.
Yeah,
we love you all.
And shout out to Emma, because I'm actually like, Emma is the whole reason I got to speak at the NEC, and Sophie from the NEC. So when I'm rich, I'm gonna buy Emma the best present that she's ever had in her whole life, maybe like a Range Rover, and I'm gonna buy Sophie from the NEC that invited me to speak there. I'm gonna buy her a Range Rover as well.
Nice.
Yeah, well, matching one, so you can drive, or maybe you treat yourself to one as well, so you can drive around as a trio.
I'm just gonna drive around in Morris Minor.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So if you got one, your dad's got one.
I got two now, because I went yesterday, bought another one.
What? Because it was Monday, or?
Because my dad got one, and then I decided that it was less stressful to drive, and it also kind of like went with the camera aesthetic. So we went and bought another one. It actually arrived this morning.
So my friend had a Morris Minor for his first car. Right, he just fell in love with it. Also, I can't remember if it was a Morris Minor, but it was something very similar.
Yeah.
But it didn't have seat belts. It
doesn't.
didn't have windscreen mirrors.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But it's totally legal because
you don't need an MOT. You don't need an MOT. You don't need tax. You don't even need seats in it if you don't want. You could just sit on the floor of the car and drive it around. Honestly.
No.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Does it have indicators? Because they have ones with those flaps, don't
they? The one that came today doesn't. I need to hook up the electrics on it. But yeah.
So can you actually, if it doesn't,
you can put your hand out the window if you want.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Analog Wonderland, then how did that come around? How did you get in with their awesome crew?
Basically because I charmed them. Joking. Like, so Emma contacted me about, like She Hearts film.
Yeah.
How great is Emma, by the way? She's literally the soundest person.
She's really cool, and like I said, she basically is the founder of my career. So she is the CEO of Alex Heron.
Fair enough.
So yeah, she contacted me about She Hearts film, and then I did a article with her, and then from that, Sophie from NEC contacted me about speaking there, and then when I was at the NEC, I was chatting to Paul, and then Paul came and saw my speech, and then Paul was like, I might be able to help you out, and I was like, that would be good. And then now he kept his word, and he did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's good like that.
Yeah,
he's good like that. I mean, I'm sure you know, but he helped us out massively. Like, and he still does. He supports us like they all do. Analog Wonderland are great. They're doing real good things for the community, like the photography community, as well as kind of going above and beyond with what they're working on. Do you know what I mean? They never cease to amaze.
Yeah, because they're all about accessibility and inclusivity, and that's what I'm all about, like in everything. And the whole project's about is like providing an accessible space in an accessible world. And I feel like that's what Analog Wonderland are. Like, they don't value you more or less because you're famous or not famous, or followers or not followers. Like, everyone is just as important as everyone else. And I think that's like important to make people feel like that they're valued no matter like how many followers or whatever they've got.
Well, it's quite funny you say that because, well, obviously, so before Front started, it was obviously just an idea, right, that me and Luke had. And Analog Wonderland, we were grateful, and we were lucky enough, should we say, to win the community fund, right? And that kick-started Front as I know it's really annoying saying this because we haven't yet launched the website, but it is coming. But it helped kickstart us to be able to start building the website and pay for some things, which is awesome. So Analog Wonderland have helped us do that, but like they've helped you, right?
Yeah.
But you've only been, how long have you kind of been on? Because we followed you pretty much since we started Front.
Yeah.
Which must have been around the same sort of time as you kind of started, I think.
Yeah, I've been about a year.
Yeah, so we're probably approaching a year now on Instagram. Well, no, I think we're about 8 months.
My project's not been a year. My project's been, because I kind of was fiddling around with the cameras after my dead granddad's cameras, not the live one, and like playing around with them. And then my project's been 8 months, 9 months. I don't know.
Because I remember like sharing. I think the first post that you did, we shared it to our account.
I was actually so happy about that, by the way.
Cool.
we had like 15 followers at the time.
That's good though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It brings out all these positive things like out of the woodwork, and like Analog Wonderland, like yourself, and certainly what we're striving to be is a place that will help expand the community. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is such a good community to be part of.
Yeah, 100%.
I always find as well, like, social media has like skewed our view of like numbers, because if you actually think of, I don't know, I don't have many followers in like the scheme of social media. I have like 2,000. So you think like that's not very many, but if you actually think of like 2,000 people in a room, that's like an insane amount of people. So I always think like, actually, when like you saying you only had 15 followers at the time, but that's actually like 15 actual real people. Like that's quite a lot. Like people that support you.
I think 14 of them were just bots from somewhere, but I don't know.
I don't discriminate against bots. Bots,
It's a really good way of looking at it, actually, because I was like, I don't know what's going on, but when I posted on Instagram a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I get like 250, 300 likes on an image.
That's actually so many though.
And that's loads. Now 50, 60.
Me too.
I've done something to annoy Instagram. I'm getting less.
It likes shadow bans and stuff. But do you know what? I actually, funny you mentioned that, because I actually got really upset about that a while ago, because I used to get like, I don't know, like 300 likes or something. And then I remember, I don't know if you remember, I had like a really public meltdown on Instagram. Again, this is me thinking I'm like the most important person in everyone's life because I assume that everybody's world centers around me. But anyway, I had this like meltdown because I posted this picture of myself and it got like 700 likes. And then I posted like this picture of this boy that had really opened up and shared his like story. And then I shared one of Ray, whose like dad was killed on duty as a police officer, and then she married her wife, and now she's autistic, and now she's a foster carer and she's going through IVF. And it got like, and I was like, it got like, I don't know, like 100 likes.
How dare you? How dare
yeah.
you?
And I literally did that.
It's the
yeah. And I was literally just like
algorithm.
So mad. I was like, how can this app? I hate this app. It's like so vapid. It's so like shallow, like this like meaningless picture. The picture of me was like blurry. It wasn't even a good picture. It was like the worst picture ever. And I'm like, how, like I hate this app. I remember doing it because I don't know. And then I just ended up saying like, I'm just going to post what I posted, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care. People like genuine stuff. People care about genuine stuff. So like, isn't there that saying you only need 1,000 true fans to make a career, and then that's it. Like you can have a really successful career with 1,000 true fans, and that's true.
Yeah, I can tell you who said that because we know
who.
That was Sean Tucker. I don't know if he got it from somewhere, but didn't he do a whole video about it?
There was a thing where it was like, it was about buying Instagram followers, wasn't it? So
that can actually like ruin your Instagram doing that.
Yeah.
Of course
so you can have like 100,000 people and you'll get 6 likes per.
You can really always tell when someone does that as well, because they should have 10% of their overall following likes on a post.
Yeah.
So if they don't, then.
Well, is there anything that you're working on? Are you going to continue working on this awesome project you've got on at the moment, or is there anything in the pipeline in the new year?
I think in general, it's quite hard because I feel like like I said, like my project's less about the photography. I just like happen to be a photographer. So I think the project, even if people get sick of it, it's a long-term thing. I've got big plans for where that's going. I kind of want this project, I want to do this at least, I don't know, a long time, get a lot of people and make it more into a movement. I want to make it into a book. And I'm doing like a lot more public speaking and stuff on it now. I'm doing some like training things as well. And I can't even tell you, but there might be something very exciting that might be happening that everyone's going to be flabbergasted at, but I can't tell you, sorry.
How soon is that?
Cool. How
long will we have to wait for that one?
Next week.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
No, I'm also making a documentary in January. P.S. If anyone wants to help with that, let me know.
Nice. Maybe
that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. But it's been awesome talking to you, and there'll be no. I'm sure we'll catch up again.
Yeah, that'll be so good.
Else lined up.
I love chatting. You know, are you from Derbyshire? No, Nottingham. You're from Nottingham. Are you from Nottingham?
No.
You're not?
No.
You literally sound like you're from Nottingham, the way that you speak.
What, both of us?
No, just you.
Just me?
Yeah. Both from the same place.
Maybe you just.
I don't mind Nottingham. I can get down with Nottingham.
Like not the way you're saying. You don't say like Nottingham. You say like Nottingham, and that's what Nottingham people say. Yeah.
That's like a
Nottingham in my car. Well. Nottingham in my car.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Anyway, it's been great speaking to you.
How is it?
No, Northampton's we're only down the road. Take it easy, boys. That's Nottingham. Shout out to Take It Easy Lab, as well.
They're in Leeds.
Yeah, they're in Leeds.
Yeah.
We still love you, Take It Easy Lab. My bad.
Yeah.
Free shout out.
This is staying in anyway.